Hey, Michael, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. How are you?
Great, and yourself there, 2 thumbs up.
Good.
Well, appreciate you taking the time to do this, longtime listener to say the least, but you have the virtual event coming up, your 5th annual Christmas show. I think you were ahead of the pack in terms of the live streaming.
Well, I don't know if I'm ahead of the pack, but I was one of those guys that was hesitant on jumping on any bandwagons. I know it's one of the only ways to stay in touch with your fans to do streaming shows, but I feel like Stryper especially isn't really a streaming band. We're more of a you got to experience it in person kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this Christmas show, I couldn't let it go without doing it, man. I do it every year. This is my officially fifth annual show, and I had to make it happen. So streaming it is, and it's going to be great.
This year, can you give any spoilers in terms of who's on stage with you, if anyone? Is the set list stuff throughout your career, covers, anything you can tell us?
Well, I'll tell you, originally I was going to do a electric show with the full band, bring in some different guests, Joel Hoekstra, and
Sure.
Perform all these songs that have never been performed live before, Michael Sweet songs.
Yeah.
Primarily. That wasn't able to happen due to COVID. We had a few people drop out, and then we realized, this isn't going to happen the right way, so let's postpone it. So we decided to do the Christmas show. I was going to go and do that just acoustically, me and an acoustic guitar. Mm-hmm. And I've done that a lot, and I just thought, I want to up the game a little bit. So I decided to hire a band, reached out to some guys, a guy by the name of Mike Kerr, who plays guitar locally, and he has worked for Stryper, and great player from Brazil. His former singer, Ian Raposa, is an incredible singer and also plays bass. So I've got Ian on bass and vocals, and he's got a little bit of that Steve Perry meets Jeff Tate kind of tone to his voice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a guy who sang vocals on our album, Even the Devil Believes, on drums, and he sings like a bird as well. His name is Keith Pittman.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have, everything's live. I'm going to be playing acoustic and singing. We got an electric guitar with Mike and vocal, Keith on drums, full drum kit, and Ian on bass. It's going to be a combination hybrid of acoustic meets electric. We're doing solo songs, we're doing Stryper songs, and we're doing Christmas songs that I've never performed before.
Well, you've kind of created the Michael Sweet industry, because you're not just, hey, that's the guy from Stryper that wrote the songs and sang the songs. You can do the solo thing. You had your time in Boston. You pop up on a lot of people's albums doing guest appearances. When did you kind of realize that it was important to not just be Stryper guy, frontman, new album every 3 years, and that's it?
Well, it's not that I necessarily sat down and made a decision like, hey, I got to be more than just the Stryper guy. It's just that recording and performing and creating is in my DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that it's not in the other guys, Rob, Oz, Perry. It is. It's just saying that I think it goes a step further with me in the sense that, I'm always writing and performing in the studio, and it's just how I'm built. I'm not happy unless I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 24/7 thing for me. And it's like getting up and brushing my teeth or, putting my shoes on. That's how music feels to me. It's just part of my everyday life.
And that's why you have an extensive discography, and the new Stryper album this year was heavier than arguably any album that you've put out before. But aside from this live stream, you were booked to be on the Chris Jericho cruise, which my wife and I have tickets to. As far as I know, that booking is still on, cruises and weather permitting?
Yes, it's been moved to 2046.
Right. Any idea if you'll be performing acoustically or if it's full band on that cruise?
It's the whole band. Oh yeah, no, it's the whole band on that cruise. And that's what's really special about it is there's not very many bands on that cruise.
Right.
There's only a handful. Like, Monsters of the Rock cruise, as great as it is, there's a lot of bands. And what makes it difficult sometimes as a fan, and me as a fan, I want to go see these bands, you know, is to be able to catch them because they're playing at the same time. With the Chris Jericho cruise, that won't happen. You know, you have more time to see these bands, and Stryper's one of them. I think we're co-headlining with Fozzy.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really cool, man. We're excited. And I believe that's been moved to October. Is that right?
October 2021, yeah. Or at least that's what it says in the emails and on our tickets. But
yeah, and you know, now with the vaccine and everything, I really, truly believe 100% that's going to happen.
Great. And one thing that I've been curious about, I'm going to ask one more Jericho question a little bit, is when I was speaking to your manager a decade ago, he was telling me about how big Stryper is in Puerto Rico. How exactly did that happen?
Well, it's interesting because, you know, Stryper is really, really big in some countries. Now, in the U.S., we used to be.
I say you're still big because if you have a couple 100,000 fans, that's still pretty big.
Oh, yeah, we have at least that in the U.S. I mean, we go out and do a 30 or 40 city run, and we'll bring in 1,000 people.
Yeah.
You know, each show.
Yeah.
And we'll do that year after year. So yeah, we've got the fans out there in the US for sure. But man, there's just something about Puerto Rico, something about parts of South America, other countries such as, you know, Spain. We go and perform in these places. India, we went to India for the first time a few years back. And we played 3 shows, and we had 4,000 or 5,000 people at each show. Mm-hmm. Same thing for Puerto Rico. There's something special. I'm not sure what it is. It might be the music. It might be the message. It might be a combination of both. I know that there are a lot of Christian people in Puerto Rico. And, you know, they have a passion for not only their music, but for their faith as well. And I see that when I go to Puerto Rico, whether it's acoustically or with the full band, there's this passion. They sing along to every word. They're cheering you on, you know, throughout the song. I mean, there's just the extra level of like, yes, passion,
right,
for the music and the band, and it's really incredible to see.
I was trying to figure out if are you a big David Lee Roth fan? I'm guessing Van Halen's in your DNA a little bit, at least.
I am a big David Lee Roth fan, and you know, I even get very defensive on his behalf. I don't like it when people put him down and you know, make fun of him or mock him or whatever because of his voice, and I don't understand that because I feel like he has such a signature character voice, sure, one of a kind, unlike any other singer ever. And is he a perfect technical singer? No. But is he the perfect frontman / vocalist for Van Halen? Absolutely. In my opinion, you know, the Sammy Hagar, the Van Hagar days, I wasn't a fan.
Well, where I was going with that, pardon my interruption there, is Roth recorded Eat 'Em and Smile in Spanish. I love that album, Sonrisa Salvaje. I was curious if Stryper had secretly recorded in Spanish, and that's what kind of launched you guys in Central America.
I wish. I'll tell you this, if we had, I think it would have launched us to a whole different level. I think we'd be far bigger than we are. And we never have done a Spanish album. My goal and my plan is to do one.
Really?
At some point, yeah, I'm going to make that happen on my own. If Stryper doesn't do it, I'm going to do it on my own. And the reason why I want to make that happen is because I love my Latin American fans so much that I want to give them an album that they can relate to even more and they can understand even more.
And is your Spanish good as it is?
My Spanish is terrible. And that'll be part of the fun, is they'll get to make fun of my accent and the way I don't roll my R's and all that good stuff.
Got it. So the Jericho question that I had was, you are one of the artists that always comes up when he's talking about the music he loves. It always seems to be you guys, Trickster, and Kick-Axe. Did you encounter Chris for the first time because you're a wrestling fan, or is it more that he was a fan and you had an encounter and it went from there?
If my memory serves me well, I think Chris reached out to me/us first, way back in the day. And I wound up going to see him perform, wrestle, back in, I think it was the 2000s, early 2000s. I took my family and we met him and watched him and hung out, and we became really good friends ever since. We literally text each other all the time.
I know
like that he'll randomly text me, "Hey, Mike, what do you think about this?" And I'll text him back, and we go back and forth for 10 minutes. And then a week will pass and we'll do it again. You know, we're always texting each other. He was at my wedding. He's become a really dear friend of mine. I love the guy. I think he's got a heart of gold. I think he's an amazing person. And he's a big fan. He's a really big fan of Stryper, and which is really cool. He grew up on Stryper. He loves Stryper, and that blesses me to know that. And I'm a big fan of his, not only as a wrestler, but as a person. Such a great guy.
I think you said something very prophetic there without realizing. When you said, when I went to see him perform wrestle, you kind of realize that whether or not you're a big wrestling fan, that wrestling is performing, and that all performers are basically kindred spirits in terms of the same lifestyle, the same worries and all of that. And
absolutely, yeah. Chris is a performer, and you know what? A great performer. And then he's kind of stretched that and brought that over into the music world. You know, he's a great musician too. I don't know if you've ever seen him perform with Fozzy, but you know, he's an entertainer and a great frontman, great singer, and he does a killer job.
Yes, he has the smoke apparatus gun kind of thing. You could tell that that's from years of just being a rock fan and going, well, what did they do? How can I make it better? And kind of creating a Kiss meets Iron Maiden, Bruce Dickinson live persona.
Exactly. I love Chris. I think he's such a great talent. And, you know, part of the reason why he's such a great talent is because of his passion. You know, he's so passionate about what he does and how he does it. He cares, and that shows. And he's passionate about the bands that he likes too. You know, Chris comes to our shows all the time, and he's in the back corner screaming above the crowd. You can see him, and I'm pointing him out. You know, it's amazing.
Right. And bring it back to you. You talked about there's possible aspirations to do a Spanish language album, whether it's you or Stryper. There's the live stream. There's this cruise appearance. That's plenty. But is there anything I missed in terms of Michael Sweet projects that you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, first, real quick, I'll keep it brief, but I didn't mean to slam Van Halen with Sammy Hagar. I respect Sammy Hagar. I think Sammy's great, and what a talent he is. But I'm a bigger fan of the Roth era. That's all I was trying to say.
Same here.
There's a lot more to come. Yeah, I've got basically. I just wrapped up the Sunbomb album. That's an album with Tracy Guns.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's different for me. It's darker, and it's definitely, I'm singing a little differently. I mean, the thing is, I get a kick out of whenever I do a project and people hear it, whatever it is, they say, oh, it sounds like Stryper. It's like, well, duh, you know, I'm the singer for Stryper. So it's always going to have a little bit of that going on. But I tried to do some different things on this album. It comes out next year. It's called Sunbomb. It's really cool. I can't wait for people to hear that. I am working right now on a worship album. I've always wanted to do that. And just a scaled back, unique, different version. I don't want to say pop, but not metal. And an album you can put on at midnight when you want to go to bed and listen to and relax to, you know?
Right.
And it's going to be really cool. I'm working on that in my downtime. I started on a new album in January with Joel Hoekstra and Nathan James.
Wow.
I'm going to be writing that album, co-writing that album, and I'm going to be playing guitar on that album with Joel. And that's going to be different and interesting and very cool. And then right after that, I jump into the studio and I start on a new solo album, a metal solo album with Rat Pack. Right after that, I jump into another album with Alessandro at Frontiers. He and I are going to co-write. I'm going to be singing. He's going to be performing. Then right after that, literally, I do the third Sweet and Lynch album with George Lynch.
Wow.
This is all in 2021. And then right after that, about this time next year, we're going to be starting on the new Stryper album.
Just what I hearkened to before, the supposed heyday, which I'm not calling the heyday of Stryper, and we say the late 80s, early 90s, where you're doing one album every 3 years and then you're touring in support of that album for a year and a half. Not only is that a thing of the past, but it's amazing how prolific you are. You mentioned Joel, he does a lot. George Lynch, he does a lot. So it's really great to see that you're not resting on your laurels as a human being or a performer at all.
No. And, I'm humbled and I'm blessed that people want to work with me. And why, I'll never understand. Because I don't consider myself anything special. I do consider myself a hard worker, and I work hard at what I do, and I take it very serious. But, in terms of a talent, there's 100 other guys that blow me out of the water. I don't even come close. It's not about that. It's more so about the fact that I just love what I do, and I'm blessed with the opportunity to do it with other people. There are people that want to work with me, labels. I got 3 labels that put out my music. Most musicians don't have that. A lot of my peers don't have 1 label. So I'm really humbled and blessed, truly. I never take it for granted, because tomorrow that could all be gone. And I figure while it's here, I want to do as much of it as I can.
Well, 3 quick questions and then you're free. The first one, it's wrestling, and feel free to say no. Did you guys ever meet the Killer Bees?
No. Nope. But I remember them, never met them.
Okay. I think you should take them to court on gimmick infringement, but that's not the point. Second thing is...
We already did. We sued them, man. We won millions. No, I'm kidding.
Second thing is, what is Michael Sweet's favorite TV show of the moment?
Ooh. Oh, man. My favorite TV show of the moment. I got to think about this. We were just binge watching The Spanish Princess. And I think in that moment, that became my favorite show, series. Right now, we're watching The Crown. I got to admit, I like it, but I fall asleep after 15 minutes. My wife doesn't, so she's a little bit more enthralled with that. There's so many shows of the past that I like. I'm a big fan of Stranger Things. I mean, there's so many, too many to list. But, I like romance. I like drama. I like action. I like horror. I kind of like it all.
Makes sense to me. And the closer, besides, hey, order this live stream event, this 5th annual amazing live event with a great band, any last words for the kids?
Well, I mean, it's $10. I don't know of any show that you can go to that's just $10.
Yeah, the Mike Tyson pay-per-view was more expensive than that.
Well, I mean, I don't know of it. I literally don't know of any show that you can go to that's just $10. And, we wanted to price it very fairly so everybody could go.
Yeah.
Everyone can afford it. You still get those people that say, I can't afford it. I get it. These are tough times. There's no question about it. But we wanted to make it affordable. And the $10 gets you the general admission, and then $25 gets you a placement on the video wall where we're going to be performing to you and interacting with you. And then the VIPs are all sold out. Those are gone. And that's going to be a special after show meet and greet / Q&A and extra hang time.
Plenty of opportunities to get to the suite. Well, thank you so much for your time. Keep up the greatness, and looking forward to all those 2021 projects you talked about.
Hey, brother, God bless. You have a great day. Stay out of harm's way, and I'll see you on the Jericho cruise.
Thanks, Michael. Take care.
See you, man.
Paltrocast.